Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Wade with Wade for Wireless. Today, got a couple topics. Let's start with neutral hosting. So, I think that there's still a lot of debate about DAS. Listen, DAS isn't going anywhere. DAS is around. It continues to survive. It's going to be out there for a long time. There's so many DAS systems in place. They need upgrades, changes, alterations. They need updates. That's what they need. But anyway, DAS isn't going anywhere. So we still have DAS, but I think neutral hosts are going to rise, and I'll tell you why. So the carriers just don't want to spend money on indoor coverage, not like they used to. As a matter of fact, they're going to be very careful about what venues they invest in. This is obvious, right? They're probably going to look at like the larger venues. They're just not going to get away from football stadiums, baseball stadiums, basketball, anything that's National Football League, National Basketball Association, National Baseball League. Major baseball league, I know, but still, they're not going to get away from that. The reality is that's going to be around forever, and there's probably a lot of venues just like that. Now, with that said, the alternatives are you have the cable companies. They're going to do a lot of DAS systems, so that'll continue with them. And you're also going to have the companies like, what is it, Boingo and Infinity. They're going to continue to do their DAS systems. But Infinity also is looking at what? Neutral host. And then I talk with Kajit once in a while. Kajit's big on neutral host. In fact, I'm a fan. In fact, I just wrote a blog about it. So they're going to continue to do neutral host, which is, I think, amazing. Because now the carriers have a solution for indoor coverage where they don't have to lift a finger. Once the contract's in place, once the requirements are met, these neutral host systems, I'm going to just use Kajit because I just spoke to them. They can just install their system, done. And all of a sudden, 2 out of the 3 major carriers here in the U.S. will have coverage. Who are the 2? T-Mobile and AT&T. They seem more than happy to do this model. They can just offload all the work. Verizon I don't know what's going on with Verizon. Verizon's confusing me at this point, and I'll tell you why. With the DAS vendors, some people are building DAS systems, right? I spoke with another company that built some DAS, and their feeling was if you build it, they would come. And again, they're trying to get the carriers to come. Well, it seems like they just can't get Verizon to go. I don't know why, but the whole idea was this company paid another company, an installer integrator, to install the DAS system. You can imagine it's a lot of money. Let's just say it was tens of thousands of dollars. It's way more than that probably, but let's just assume that. Anyway, point is, they build it, and now the carriers don't even put in like a BBU. They don't want to put in any controller. They don't want to put a backhaul in. They don't want to connect. They just don't want to spend the money. So, and I say carriers, the big one is Verizon. That's the big one. Verizon seems to be pushing, they just seem to be ignoring the call, right? You know what that's like, right? You called somebody up and they just don't call you back. Plus, we do it too because we get like 1,000 junk emails. Just don't get back to them. I don't know what's going on with Verizon. I don't know what their strategy is for moving ahead. I'm just trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out what the plan is. But they aren't even doing the deals with the neutral host. Don't know why. I got to be honest with you. I can't figure it out. But what I do think, this neutral host, I think T-Mobile and AT&T see an opportunity to expand the indoor coverage. What they should do is not only do that, but they should brag that, they're going to be partnered with some of these small neutral host companies, and that the competition is not. They could call out Verizon and just say, hey, they're not doing anything, and they just don't have any agreements. I'm surprised Verizon just didn't put some high standards in. I don't know. They have CBRS. It's in every device that they put out there. I don't know. I can't figure it out. Anyway, moving on. My next topic is AI and telecom. So there's a lot of questions about AI. 2 big things stick out. One, people are always worried about replacing people in the workforce. Listen, it's been going on. I'm going to put out a blog. I didn't release it yet because I'm doing a little more research, but there's a company called Klarna, Klarna. They're like a buy now, pay later credit company, but they came out and admitted they replaced I shouldn't say that. They came out and said that their AI platform does the work of 700 people, which ironically is what they laid off last year. It does the work of 700 people, and they laid off 700 people. So they probably have hard proof. Is that a popular thing to say today? No. It's probably like the most unpopular thing for the worker and for the CEO that's trying to retain talent. Because what normally happens is, now that they said stuff like that, people are going to be worried for their job and they're probably going to look elsewhere. So you're probably going to lose your best people while they have a job. And it's a thing. I'll get into the layoffs soon. That's going to be my third topic. But yeah, that's a big thing. So everyone wants to replace it. But let's get back to telecom. Of course, telecom wants to replace like as many people as possible. Look at all the downsizing we've been through in the last year. The OEMs, the carriers, everyone involved, the tower crew. I mean, the system, I shouldn't say system, the telecom industry has gone through a lot of changes, which means a lot of people are going to leave the industry. I don't know where they're going to go. I pray to God everyone can get not only a good job, but a better job. I'll tell you what, the telecom industry is tough to work in. It's just tough, 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 tough. And I often wonder how we're ever going to survive it because it's just a painful industry to sustain. Now, you don't see the executives complaining. One, they have to retain the talent, and it's usually the frontline workers. This is number two. The frontline workers are the guys doing all the work. And unfortunately, and I've seen this firsthand, they're the first guys that they toss aside. Although I heard this was a year for the tech companies, they got rid of a lot of middle management people, which are the guys between the executives and the front line and the middle management. I haven't seen a lot of that in telecom. I've seen a little bit, but not a lot. But it's one of those things that in tech companies, they're going to get, well, they have been getting rid of a lot of mid-management people, which sort of sucks. You know, that's, if you're somewhere in between, you want to make executive level. Well, maybe you do at some point, but you know, you want to get out of the front line at some point. So somewhere in the middle is where it's a nice place to be. But I think all that's changing. I think a lot of jobs are going to change. Now, with all that said, there's new services because of AI. Mostly, I'm going to bring up the low-hanging fruit. Digital twin has made site acquisition quicker, easier, the drawings. It's way more efficient. So that's the good news. The other good thing about AI is the actual network solutions. Machine learning was doing this, and I think AI is going to bring it to the next level. But you know, we can lower latency, we can lower the bandwidth use at any given time by rerouting traffic properly, by letting the machine do that. So I think AI is going to be everywhere. I think NVIDIA probably is already in a lot of these things, but it's a huge thing. Failure prediction. Suddenly you can predict a lot of failures, maybe replace something before it fails. You're planning and upgrades. Now you can look at past performance and lump it all into one. It probably won't be done as much by a human as with AI. The quality of service is huge, especially in telecom. But anyways, for any routing. So now you can look at your quality measurements in real time and just have the machine update it for you automatically, or the knock. A big term I'm going to phrase in my next blog is AI knock. The AI knock is going to be huge because you can use AI to do so many things in a knock environment. You're still going to have the knock, right? You're still going to have people. You just are. But you can have fewer people. The knock can take care of a lot of questions. Like you can use like a chat bot for a lot of the questions, frequently asked questions, customer interface, robocalls. You know, you can do the calls out to the people. That's already being done, right? But the whole idea is you call your customers and let them know of an outage, downtime, alert, problems, and then, you know, then you can actually talk to them. Emails, automated emails. All this is being done today. We're going to take it to the next level as far as customer service goes. But the big thing is, with the knock, maybe it can put together all the alarms real time and make a determination of what the actual problem is. In microwave, this is huge because if a storm's rolling through, in my head, I think that you can have the AI interface, generative AI, look at the news. Is there a storm rolling through? Track the storm. Are the alarms following the storm? And what alarms are staying behind the storm? Like, was there a lightning strike? Is something off the air? Do you have continued bit errors even though the storm has moved on and, maybe it's not as cloudy as it was? Whatever. Just saying. So I think that's going to help. I think energy usage is another thing we're trying to use AI for today. I think it's a big thing. So you want to just try to be as efficient with energy as possible. Now, if you don't think this is a big deal, when you work with data centers, they measure everything. Well, I shouldn't say everything. They measure a lot on the energy usage, kilowatt hours, kilowatts available, how big's the plant or the data center. A lot of it's based around energy. Even in telecom, energy is becoming a bigger deal because these carriers, well, they want 5G, right? 5G, more bandwidth, higher power, more spectrum. The higher spectrum, all that seems to use a lot more power than it used to. So with all that said, you want to conserve as much power as you can. Now, the low-hanging fruit for this particular, I know I'm saying that term a lot, sorry, but for this particular situation, everyone says, oh, well, when the site's not busy, we can go into a deep sleep. I have mixed feelings about that. One, if it's not busy, you're probably not using a lot of energy anyway. How much you're really going to save? What I want to do is try to offload the busy site to a less busy site that's within range of your users. Because what happens, what I've noticed, is a lot of times all these devices connect to one tower, one particular cell site, and they stay there. You have all these other sites that could handle the offload. That's what you want to use AI for. You want to try to get everyone offloaded to this tower. And the less energy you're using at that tower, the better it is. Plus, quality of service, in theory, should go up unless they're really far away and you have spotty coverage. But that's a whole thing. So I think we're going to look at that. Project management's another thing I built up. They've been trying to automate that for years. It's just not working that well. The other great thing about the AI NOC, the NOC can be local again. This probably doesn't mean a lot to people outside the U.S., but when you're in the U.S., that was a big deal for a while. We wanted stateside NOCs. I think with this model, just like manufacturing, I think we can bring a lot of the NOCs back to the U.S. And I think it makes sense, right? Latency monitoring. There's so many barriers that come down with that. And of course, the NOCs will go 24/7 with less holiday pay and less complaining. Don't you just get tired of people griping about that? So that was my second topic. Number 3 is I just wanted you to hang in there because we've just had an amazing amount of layoffs, especially in the entire tech industry. It's amazing the downsizing I've seen. And yet I keep hearing how great the economy is. Inflation's bad. Our bills went way up, and yet layoffs are like huge. I mean, it's amazing how many people were let go. So I just want you to hang in there. I want you to have a little faith that things are going to be okay. And if the job market's as good as they say it is, in theory, all of us should be able to get another job rather quickly, right? Now, what's that job? What are we going to do? And plus, how many of us are close to retirement? Like, I'll turn 60 this year, the big 6-0. And I got to be honest with you, if I could just stick it out a few more years, I'm good as gold as far as my retirement goes. I'm not good as gold. Anything could happen. There's always disasters looming out there. But I'm just trying to point out, hang in there, be positive, and just, don't be afraid to go outside the industry. I think that's a problem a lot of us have, especially old timers like me. I've been in telecom for years. I was in paging, for God's sakes, paging, public safety, cellular. I've worked on both sides. I've worked for small companies. I worked for big companies. I'm a jobs guy. I always tried to start my own thing, and I've done it a few times, just not very successfully, just being honest. I love doing the side gig, but doing it full time, it is a lot of stress. All you guys that start your own businesses and go all in, God bless you, because that is just, wow. It's a lot of risk. It's great when it takes off. And I have a lot of friends that, they started it, guys I worked for, and they're booming. Now, did they go through tough times? Yeah. Do they have good times? Yeah. And right now, if you're in the industry, like a lot of companies are trying to grasp more work from each customer, as well as expand into new industries outside of just what they were doing. Macro was big. Now they're trying to go beyond macro. And I do think DAS and neutral hosts are a thing, but it's going to be very, very local. Okay, last thing. I released my book on Amazon, Kindle. It's if I can speak here. My new book is called Private Wireless Networks Handbook. The Private Wireless Networks Handbook. I don't have a copy. I'm waiting on it. I want to get a paper copy. So the point is, with this handbook, I talk about putting together a business case, the scopes, and the use cases for private wireless networks. I don't go into the design because I always feel like when you get into design, everyone wants their own network. Like I've done high level designs for forestry, for farms, for manufacturing. What else? Just video. Video is another one. A lot of these use cases are IoT. Some have voice. Some have a combination of all of them. But I guess what I'm trying to say is when you're putting together this stuff, you end user customer, it's up to you to put together the model for the customer, for the end user, whoever's going to pay you for it. The other thing about these networks is they're very localized. It is very hard for someone like us, the integrators, the installers, to do a national deal, especially on small cell and for DAS and for neutral host. Very regional, very small, very targeted customers. IoT is a huge use case, but let me tell you something. IoT, it's a specific use case too. So, all right, that's what I got for you. Be smart, be safe. If you can, buy my book. I would appreciate it. And thanks you all. Thanks to everybody for listening. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you tuning in. And I do appreciate everyone's support and kind words, especially on LinkedIn and Facebook. Thanks, guys. It really means a lot to me. So you see that? I am thankful. All right. See ya.